a decision yesterday or communicate to the CSOs that they will be engaging the chiefs and others?
No, the position of government is that we will continue to engage. We are a government that is interested in throwing light where there needs to be. We are not running away or shying away from anything. We record. We are the ones who pass the right to information bill. Our attitude is that when people can't use information, when we have the information, we will engage. We will make it available. They could be towards chiefs. It could be religious leaders. Anybody who is minded to want to engage with the government, we are prepared to engage with that person. In the meantime, once we do these engagements, our eyes remain on the ball, and we will continue to act in the best interest of the people of Ghana. We will leverage on our natural resources to be able to prepare and position ourselves for the future, invest in our health, in our housing infrastructure, in our education, also in other infrastructure. We are going to be doing that, and hopefully the income from the Emefa arrangement come and will be invested in those areas.
Okay, and that leads me to my next quick question. We started with that, but the line wasn't great. So the clarity is, on the back of the reports that the deal has been suspended, is that it's not true that the deal has been suspended. The government is going ahead with the Japa royalties deal as originally articulated.
Well, I said that forever.
The line wasn't great then. I just wanted to clarify that. So
I do not have any at this moment. That to me that government has suspended. I believe that if that were the case, I would have briefed.
Okay. So as you speak right now, the status quo remains. Your government is going ahead.
Absolutely.
I'm grateful. That is the Deputy Information Minister Pius Hajide speaking to me on the issues that have come up tonight. Let's quickly return to the minority in Parliament. Remember that yesterday here on Top Story, we brought you details of the Minerals Income Investment Act, which is the parent body that legitimized the Ejapa royalties arrangement and gave it powers to act, such as we've seen play out in the setting up of the fund, including an amendment that was passed later. But in the original act that was passed in 2018, it gave the Minerals Income Investment Fund the power to create and hold equity interest in a special purpose vehicle in any jurisdiction. Any jurisdiction means including a tax haven, such as we've seen in the Japa case, in furtherance of its objects, and the special purpose vehicle shall be free to operate as a regular commercial company. Now, this question was put to Mr. Kayslato Forson, who is a minorities ranking member and spokesperson on finance on PM Express, and he said to me earlier on that show that the minority had raised objections to this on the floor and sought an amendment, which was shot down. Listen to him.
It was titled House of Chiefs.
But let me tell you something.
Oh, really?
No, but that question is the fundamental point. You see, the fundamental point is that the NDC minority, and Evans, I'm putting my credibility on the line. Get a copy of the Hansard. Tomorrow, you'll be on Top Show. Top Show, yes. Read it. Call me if I'm wrong. Let viewers.
You propose an amendment to this clause.
This very clause.
And it was
defeated.
Well, my colleague, parliamentary correspondent Joseph Gakpo, went through the Hansard, the entire Hansard, and this is what he found.
Clause 3, subsection A of the Act says the fund may create and hold equity interest in a special purpose vehicle in any jurisdiction in furtherance of its objects. Speaking on PM Express on Tuesday night, minority spokesperson on finance, Kayslato Forson, said the minority sought to amend that clause, but that was shot down.
You propose an amendment to this clause.
This very clause.
And it was defeated. But this was on the floor.
This was on the floor.
But join his reading of the Parliamentary Hansard of 25th September 2018, when Parliament considered the Clause 3 of the bill, shows the only amendment to the bill was by Chairman of Parliament Finance Committee, Dr. Marcus Beabua. The amendment was to replace a figure 41 in the bill with 40. Fast forward to July 2020, government sought amendment to the Act to give Ejapa unfettered independence. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu served notice his side will not back the amendment.
I will invoke our standing orders that when it comes to this matter, we will insist on a head count on this matter. We don't want to be counted as supporting this particular bill.
But when Parliament approved the amendment 2 weeks later, the minority raised no objection. It was only when government brought the Ejapa agreement itself to the House for approval that minority MPs walked out of the chamber.
So that is Joseph Gakpo, the parliamentary correspondent, going through what the hazard told us. I'm joined on the telephone line by Case Latofosing himself. Mr. Latofosing, so in respect of that specific clause, 3A, that gave the powers to set it up in any jurisdiction, the hazard shows that when the part of that clause came up for discussion, the minority side raised no particular objection to it for amendment.
Thank you, Evans. I think we are talking about two things here. The very reason why this Ejapa agreement was sent to Parliament was because on the 28th, I think 27th, 28th, and 29th, one of these days, Parliament considered amendment. And those clauses that we are making reference to were tabled for amendment. So the ones that I am making reference to relate to the recent amendment, of which, as part of the debate, we have said that even that amendment that has gone through, that we oppose, obviously has not been accepted by the president and cannot be the basis that the Ejapa agreement should go through. And therefore, we subject that to further scrutiny, and we believe that that agreement can never be allowed to go through. So the ones that I was making reference to relate to the amendment that was recently done, July ending 2020, and not the year 2018.
Okay,
because the 2018 one will not be the basis that this agreement would have been done.
Let's be clear. I remember on the show I quoted this clause and I said it was 2018. And this is the clause which the minority in the press conference had objected to it setting up in a tax haven. This clause is in the original act that was passed by the entire House in September 2018. The clause gave the power to the special purpose vehicle to be set up in any jurisdiction. That is the direct question I put to you, and he said that is a clause that Muntaka Mubarak had raised an objection to and sought an amendment that was shot down, and he said it was in the hands that it wasn't in the hands that.
Evans, I will entreat you to look for the July amendment.
Okay, I mean, I get. We are talking about. I get it. There is an amendment.
I'm coming there.
There's an amendment, but the question that you challenged, you threw the challenge on, didn't relate to the amendment. It related to the original Act, Clause A, Section 3, Powers of the Fund. That is a very controversial part that gave the power.
Were further amended. And that's what I'm trying to say. They were further amended. And it is on that basis that this government decided to bring forward the Ejapa agreement. Because with this very agreement, with this very law, they couldn't have done what they are using the Ejapa for.
No, they could have.
I'm making reference.
No, they could have.
I'm making reference.
They could have.
They couldn't.
No, I mean, I want to quote you again. The 2018 one was clear that the special purpose vehicle can be set up in any jurisdiction, which is a fundamental complaint you've raised. But that was in the law that you approved in 2018.
You see, I don't know our understanding of any jurisdiction, what it means. But you see, our fundamental concern, yes, has to do with the tax haven and the other things that they are doing with it. It is not clear in the Enabling Act. It is indeed made clear and stronger in the amendment. And my argument is that the ones that we raise strong objection, I heard you play the voice of the minority leader. The minority leader's voice that you played relate to the July amendment and not the September 2018. The very voice that you played has to do with July 2020 and not September 2020. And that's the ones that we are making reference to. And I'm sure that when we get that answer, the situation will be clear.
Okay, so you're saying that you raise objections to the amendment.
Correct.
Okay. But the original question I asked, which led to all this, about the original act remains. Because the original act, Clause A, gave power to the fund and the special purpose vehicle to be set up in any jurisdiction.
Evans,
that remains. That remains.
Yes, let me make this clear. With the original act, government couldn't have done what they are using Ejapa to do. They can't. Because the law will not allow them to do what they were doing. And so we are okay with the original one.
Which part? No, I mean, I'm sorry, but the law I have in front of me doesn't say what you say. The law is very clear
So why is it that the government came to Parliament for
the
an amendment?
amendment they sought was to two things. One, to take it away from the control of the Asabi-controlled agency which was set up recently, the SIGA, and then secondly was also to remove the regular reporting obligations that any of these state enterprises must oblige to remove that from those. These were the two key amendments that were sought. It didn't address. There was no amendment to the jurisdiction issue.
Of those amendments, but this amendment that you've raised are very critical because the controls under SIGA is very significant. Significant in the sense that you subject the management of the company and the government regulations and government rules, including the PFM Act, and that is everything. This government said to set it aside, and that is a major concern. But not only that, there are other amendments that in fact, the Act itself has not been gazetted. I've not seen a copy. We would have been able to go through and then come out with the exact specifics as to where the government decides to amend and all of that.
Okay. Final question. If today the government had come to you with a law that says that the fund can create and hold equity interest in a special purpose vehicle in any jurisdiction in furtherance of its objects, and the special purpose vehicle shall be free to operate as a regular commercial vehicle, would you have approved it? If they come to you today?
On what the fund is doing.
I'm just quoting the wording of the law in detail. If this is the quote, if the crafting of the law today before you, would you approve it?
Certainly no, I will not.
But you approved it in 2018.
I will not. I will not for a reason. Now we know clearly the intention of government, because clearly at the time no government had ever contemplated to mean that every jurisdiction means a tax haven. Nobody else will ever contemplate that, because if you are talking of jurisdiction, you are talking of countries, but certainly not a tax haven. Because I don't know of any government that has incorporated a sovereign wealth fund in a tax haven, and so certainly nobody will ever think that the government was going to create a company, a sovereign wealth fund in a tax haven, and that was the basis.
And that is Casey Latofosi. He speaks for the minority on finance, and he's a ranking on the Finance Committee in Parliament as well. You want to join me with your thoughts on all that you've heard here on Top Story and on Newsnight? Let's hear from you. 024434043437. My parliamentary correspondent Joseph Gakpo, who has been following this, of course, will join us with thoughts on all that has been happening back and forth and the amendment issues shortly, just for some further clarity. But make up your mind. You've heard all the sides. Make up your mind as you will.
Well, there's still some more heat. Let's go to the Jubilee House now, where President Akufo-Addo has been meeting a Nigerian delegation on the latest impasse between local traders and the foreign counterpart over the GIPC law that bars foreigners from engaging in retail trade. You know, the trade of words and counter-statements from both sides on this long-standing issue between traders on both sides. Now, we are learning tonight that the Nigerian delegation are asking Ghana to take a second look at the GIPC law. Presidential Affairs correspondent Elton Brobe has joined us in the studio with more on this. What are the details? We have a resolution on the matter.
So the key issue that dominated the discussion was the reference to the GIPC Act 865. Lays out activities that foreign investors are not permitted to invest or participate in. And we have a tall list and talk about operations of taxi, beauty salon, print and recharge cars, production of excise books, and others. Remember that there's been a lot of back and forth between the Ghana Union of Traders Association and the Nigerians, whom they claim are engaging in retail business, which is against the GIPC law. As to whether government would enforce the GIPC law or allow the ECOWAS law to work, that has been a bone of contention. Now, the Nigerian Speaker of the House of Representatives has been in Ghana since yesterday. So he first engaged the Speaker of Parliament on the way forward. And just about an hour ago, he and President Akufo-Addo had the open, session. As I speak, they are in a closed-door session detailing out some of the issues that came up. So Olufemi Bajabiamila, who is the Speaker of the Nigerian House of Representatives, was quite clear that this issue is creating some kind of animosity between Ghanaians and Nigerians. And he is of the view that the two governments must work to strengthen relations, because there's been so much misinformation especially on their side, regarding how some of their compatriots are being treated in the country. So he suggested two things. One, the establishment of a Nigeria-Ghana Business Council to always advise the two governments on the way forward when there are issues of this nature. But more importantly, if possible, Ghana should take up a review of the GIPC law to ensure that such businesses can take place within our retail sector, regardless of the nationality.
We deliberated and resolved whatever needs to be done on both sides to make sure that this relationship remains the relationship it used to be and still is, that we must do. Nigeria, Africa, you cannot talk about Africa without talking about Nigeria, neither can you talk about Africa without talking about Ghana. And it's that strength, that combination of strength that we seek to protect, not just for today, but for tomorrow and for the future moving forward. We have appealed to Parliament, but if it's possible at all, and it's an appeal, if it's possible at all, to please look again at the issues as far as the Ghana Investment Promotion Center Act is concerned, that they should please do so. If it is not possible, then let us look at ways where the pain can be a little bit reduced, or the difficulties in meeting those expectations as espoused in the law can be reduced. Now we've proffered suggestions which we are working on, one of which he did mention was the establishment of a Ghana-Nigeria Business Council backed by legislation on both sides. And that affords, we think, us to have something coded or a statute formed to guide our relationship in terms of business.
So that's the Speaker of the House of Representatives of Nigeria, Olufemi Gbajabiamila. And so a few issues. Ghana should either look at amending the GIPC law or set up a Ghana-Nigeria Business Council to advise the two governments on the way forward. Now, President
what
Akufo-Addo,
did we say about this proposal?
Right. So President Akufo-Addo says that, they've heard him. Government will look at the proposal. If it is possible to have a review of the GIPC law, government will look at it. But more importantly, he also suggested a joint ministerial committee to also advise the two governments on this. He says that he's been in touch with the Nigerian president, and this month there's an ECOWAS summit in Niamey, and he hopes to revisit this particular matter to bring finality to it.
The way forward, which is really what matters in situations of this nature, the way forward that is being suggested, are all ones that instinctively I find very acceptable. The idea of legislation to promote a Ghana Nigeria Business Council, some sort, that would have superintendents of trade matters, investment matters between our two countries. It may be that it's long overdue. It may well be long overdue, but it's events that produce institutions and solutions. The time has come for it to be done, and it is, I think, a very worthwhile step that is being taken. I indeed suggested to Mr. President that perhaps it would be a good idea also to set up some sort of joint ministerial committee with ministers on both sides who would be responsible for shepherding Ghana-Nigerian issues and reporting to both presidents at any one time when matters occurred, how they should be resolved. I don't think that is precluded. And I'm hoping that when I see him on Monday in Niamey for the ECOWAS summit, that we can advance those discussions and perhaps come to a final conclusion on the way forward. But there's the way that you yourselves have dealt with the matter. It's very, very, very satisfactory, and it requires our support. The review that you are asking for, why not? I mean, if that is worth doing from our mutual perspectives, it would make a lot of sense. So you can take it for granted that the request that you've made will be treated seriously. We'll have a look at it. In all these matters, at the end of the day, the line between national interest and common interest is always a difficult line to draw. But it's one that has to be drawn willy-nilly, and hopefully it can be done in such a way that you don't trample on somebody else's interest as well. So the request for the review, I think it makes a lot of sense, and the relevant.
So that's President Akufo-Addo. Now, Elton, I know that there's a closed session underway.
So the speaker is leaving tonight, but they are now holding what they describe as the closed session to iron out some of the issues that came up during the opening session. Okay.
Well, that's Presidential Affairs correspondent Elton Brobe with the very latest from that meeting at the Jubilee House.
And this is your election headquarters, and today the National Democratic Congress has been speaking at a press conference about the just ended voter registration exercise, giving an update on a few of the key issues that emerged controversially during the process, and they insist that the lack of progress on the investigations into the murder of 28-year-old Silas Wulachame at Banda and the registration of some 66 Ivorians during the voter registration exercise demonstrates government complicity in the two cases.
Now, Banda was the scene of violent clashes during the exercise, claiming one life and injuring several others. Now, 27 days into the exercise, the police has yet to make public outcome of their investigations and prosecution of those involved. Addressing a news conference backed with videos and alleged secret recordings of some people in government, the General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedu Nketia, questioned the transfer of the police divisional commander investigating the case.
At dawn of the following day, the vehicle, under the cover of darkness, left with its occupants towards the Ivory Coast. Following a tip-off, the NDC youth in Dobo, an NDC stronghold, which is close to the border, with the assistance of their comrades from Sampa, intercepted the foreign registered vehicle by physically blocking the road leading to Côte d'Ivoire. At this point, the NDC invited the media to the scene and made it impossible for the immigration officials not to act. The EC itself knows the truth. And they are quiet because they thought this incident would die a natural death. What we have witnessed is a desperate attempt to cover up the perpetrators of these heinous crimes. I'm sure you have heard that the district police commander who dared to arrest even before he was ordered to release has since been transferred. The divisional commander has since been transferred. And in line with the Kasua incident, the regional commander who called Hawa Kumsin for her statement after the gunshot has also been transferred. Two incidents that have occurred recently, leading to my heightened suspicion that whatever crimes that had been committed during the registration exercise countrywide, and in particular Bana, had happened with President Akufo-Addo's complicity. That after the arrest of the Ivorians at Dobo, they were quickly processed for the Sunyani Circuit Court and quickly granted bail at the insistence of the MPP Regional Women's Organizer, Madam Ama Amponsa, and the case was subsequently adjourned indefinitely. So the elections will be held before the case is called.
Now, Johnson Asiedu Nketia also accused President Akufo-Addo of supervising lawlessness in the country whilst appealing to Ghanaians, members of the diplomatic corps, to join hands with the NDC in demanding justice for victims of the registration exercise.
The president's attempt to embark on a campaign of misinformation to cover up these misdeeds. His Excellency has made several statements to commend the peaceful nature of the registration exercise without mentioning a single act of violence during the exercise, including that perpetrated by his own appointees, which led to the killing of 2 innocent Ghanaians. On his recent tour of the Volta region, instead of using the opportunity to apologize for his unwarranted ethnic discrimination against the Voltarians, he claimed ignorance of all the bad things enumerated above and stated rather shamelessly that he has no evil agenda against the Voltarians. This, ladies and gentlemen, is the 21st century Ghana under President Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo. The NDC would like to appeal to all peace-loving Ghanaians to join the fight for justice for innocent Silas Wulo Chame, who was brutally murdered by the MPP holdrums, and impress upon the President and the Electoral Commission to walk their talk by reading the new voters register of the 66 Ivorians who were surreptitiously brought in by the MPP parliamentary candidate in Banda to register and punish severely all the perpetrators involved. Let me use this opportunity to invite the international community and to impress upon Nana Akufo-Addo's government and the relevant state institutions mentioned in the leak tape to take immediate steps to abandon any grand agenda of collusion with the MPP to perpetrate violence, intimidation, and injustice on the people of this country, whose only offense is to insist on their right of self-determination and choose the path of peace, justice, and fairness to help sustain our young, fragile democracy.
General Secretary of the NDC, Johnson Asiedun Ketia, the NPP's parliamentary candidate, was mentioned all through that press conference. Mr. Joe Dankwa, he joins us here on Newsnight. Thank you very much for your time, sir. So you've been fingered as being the main architect in the violence that characterized the voter registration exercise, especially at Banda. Your reaction?
Yeah, thank you very much. Let me greet your chair election. It's unfortunate that Mr. Stephen Ketia has been noted for lying all over. Let me take you back. I've been with Stephen Ketia in this political battle for quite a long time, and I know him. He is a pathological liar. And when there are issues, instead of confronting the issues, he will go around lying. Somewhere in 2002, this is the same person on Adum FM stating that I, Joe Dankwa, stole a cashew processing machine and was hiding it under my mother's bag. A team from Adum FM came to the Dentine district, went to Selkwa, and all of us went to the village. Instead of saying Ketia telling us where the machine was, he decided to tell the entire country lies and lies. He couldn't show us where the machines were.
Let's fast forward.
Yeah, we are going forward, but let me give you that background so that you know the president we are talking to. Tomorrow you will come back and say certain things, the same lies.
You've been named as being behind the registration.
Yes, that's what I'm saying, that he's lying.
Is that true or not? That's a lie as well.
Yeah, that's something that he's lying. He's lying. And I'm giving you the background so that you know the type of person that we are dealing with.
Unfortunately, we don't have time for all that background.
Yes.
So we'll deal with the specifics.
So you see, if you have somebody who keeps on lying, he will keep on coming because we don't put him stringed on the points. That's the point I want to make. I have never transported anybody to register. 2, but now during the registration, I was attacked by a certain Katias men.
You know for sure that those were Katias men?
Yes. The group that came to
how do you know?
was led by the brother of the NDC MP, Ahmed Ibrahim.
And
the brother is from Moro.
So how is that related to Asiedun Ketia?
Yes, he's an NDC man. Is he not talking about Bana issues?
So every NDC man is supposed to be related to Asiedun Ketia?
No, not that every NDC man is supposed to be related. But I am giving you the background of why there were so many incidences, cases in Bana during the registration.
But
I was attacked personally.
Okay.
I was attacked personally by a group led by the senior brother of the certain member of parliament, Ahmed Ibrahim.
Well, there are concerns about, that in all this, we lost one person, a 20-year-old teacher. Are you concerned about the delay in that investigation?
Yes, let me land, and you properly know what really happened. After the attack, NDC guys mounted 5 barriers within the hometown of Ahmed Ibrahim, the NDC MP. 5 civil barriers. They attacked MPP groups, MPP teams, who were monitoring the registration exercise when they got to Banana Group. They attacked them. And if I show you pictures of the kind of things that the NDC did to our people, and up to today, not even any NDC guys were arrested.
So they put out, pictures, video recordings, and secret tapes, for instance, to back the claims that they made today at the press conference. But I would want to find out from you, you should also be concerned about the delay in investigations of the death of the 28-year-old teacher, for instance. Are you also not worried about it?
Background. If they mounted the barrier, the NDC mounted the barriers, they put up all the lights up, and they attacked people. They shot people. They threw stones at some people, they catalyzed others, and at the end of the day, one person died. Then the Sedin Katia comes around to tell Ghanaians that MPP were involved in this.
We'll have to leave it here. We're grateful for your time. That's the NPP parliamentary candidate for Banda, Joe Dankwa. We'll stay a while longer in that area quickly and speak to the chief of the area, the Banda chief, Nana Haya Bosom II. He is tonight to review that persons who caused the violence in Banda and Bongasa during the exercise are not natives of the area.
Banda is not a hostile area. We love people. We like people. If the indigenous will tell you the truth, things which were going on during the registration era, were people being hid outside the community. We are here. If the people were within here, like still it will continue. But because they came from outside, when you came in, they are still, the young boys are moving. So please, the parties bringing in people to disrupt the peace here, we are pleading with them. Those who were following them, the MPP, the NDC, who came in here, came in to fight. The community go around, nobody fight.
That's the chief of Banda, the Haya Bosom, Nana Haya Bosom II. We'll get more from the election headquarters when we return from business with George Riafe.
Well, Emefa, coming up in business, the 2020 National Population and Housing Census postponed to the second quarter of next year. I'll be getting you more details on that one. And Registrar General actually to commence payment of locked up investment funds later this month after completion of creditors' meeting. We'll be getting you more details on the one. The business news on Newsnight is brought to you by MTN Business. Welcome to the new world of business. Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one-stop shop for all your office essentials. And First National Bank, we are the bank that understands your business. First National Bank, how can we help you?
Look at you, the big boss.
You know they hear.
You know they fear who?
Until somebody says, I will tell your mother.
That's why we say wear a mask, or else
we will call your mother.
Hey, why are you disgracing me? Why your mask?
Wear it for her. Wear it for me everywhere you go. MTN. Visit wearit4.me to send a message to someone.
We give you nothing but the best, we stay above the rest. More quality, more affordability. Kingdom Books and Stationery. Everybody's going to the one and only shop where customer satisfaction is a guarantee. Kingdom Books and Stationery.
Oh yes, with our 30 days credit facility with no interest charge, free delivery services, and our free consultation on setting up your office, Kingdom Books and Stationery is unmatched in our delivery of quality and affordable office essentials, equipment, and furniture.
Experience world-class customer service in all our branches in Accra, Tema, Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Takoradi.
Call us on 0302-764-101
or visit our website at www.kingdomgh.com.
Kingdom Books and Stationery, your number one stop shop for all office essentials and stationery. Terms and conditions apply.
Puma Drinks, ready to add flavor to your life? Puma Drinks, bursting with so many flavors, you just can't have enough.
You're welcome back to Business on Newsnight. Now, the National Population and Housing Census is now set to take off from next year. Now, this was after the service finalized some engagement with the Ministry of Finance in the way forward. The census was supposed to have come out this year. However, due to COVID-19, the program is now being moved to a new period. Abuna Oseakoto is Director of Census and Survey at the Ghana Statistical Service.
Yes, it is going to come on for sure, but not necessarily just 2020 because of COVID-19. So we are planning that it comes off in 2021, God willing. And our preparations are all towards 2021.
2021, which month specifically are we looking at?
Looking at hopefully the second quarter of 2021. We are doing that. We can propose a date, but we need the steering committee to affirm the date. But you know, we have stakeholders. We are not doing the census on our own. There are other institutions that will help us, because when we are doing the training, we'll require venues, and the venues we are thinking of is the various SHSs. So in order to get access to the SHSs, we need to also dialogue with Ghana Education Service and the Ministry of Education. So all these will play a part in when we schedule the date.
Director of Census and Survey at the Ghana Statistical Service, Abuna Oseakoto. The Registrar General Jimamo Wari has indicated that he will start the payment of locked-up investment funds later this month. Now, this will be done after completing the planned creditors meeting in the coming weeks. The Registrar General has been giving us more details about the scheduled payment process for the liquidator to be done for these fund management companies that have been affected.
We'll be sending you a link. We have to do it virtually this time because of the COVID-19. I'm not going to be able to meet with all of these investments or creditors because there are about 5,000 in total. I don't know where I'm going to, which hall I'm going to have to meet all of them. And so it has to be virtual. So every fund management investors, I'll have to have a virtual meeting with them at a specific time. And I've put out all those details in the daily.
I would say that all other things being equal, does it mean that when you finalize these creditor meetings, you commence payment to these clients of the locked up funds of these finance houses?
Yes, we will. But as I said, it's going to be in stages. So the first 20 we will handle their claim and their payments after the various creditor meetings, and we explain to them what is really involved. And then after, when I get the orders from the courts to wind up the others, we'll carry on the process.
Likely in the final week of this month, payment should start?
For the first 20, yes. Before the end of this month, payment should start. Yes.
All right, and that will be you start paying the monies to people in the...
Yes, yes. We have to do the creditor meetings first before we will have meetings with the investors and then to let them know what package government has for them.
Mama Wari is the Registrar General. Now, some commercial banks have started enforcing the new European Union restrictions after the country was blacklisted over some shortcomings when it comes to the aspect of its financial sector regulations. Now, this was after Ghana was put on the list of countries
with deficiencies in anti-money laundering and counter-terrorism financing framework. According to the European Union, the expected restrictions are expected to take place from October this year. Now, Standard Chartered Bank is one of the latest banks that has sent notices out to its clients. In the communication, the bank noted that it will be contacting its clients or customers soon to update their records. Now, this is in line with the regulatory requirement following the ranking of Ghana as high-risk third country by the European Union. Now, Ghana and Nigeria have agreed to establish a business council at the highest level to deal with all trade issues between the two countries. Now, this was one of several agreements reached after this high-level speakers meeting between the two parliaments of the country. Let's hear from the spokesperson of the Nigerian House of Representatives, that is Ben Kalu.
Joint committee will be established, composed of members of both legislature, to expose and explore the possible passage of reciprocal legislations, which could be potentially called the Ghana-Nigeria Friendship Act, which shall propose Ghana-Nigeria Business Council, provide the legal framework, sustain the friendship, benefit citizens of the two nations. Right Honorable Speakers expressed the commitment of their respective legislature to continuously employ diplomacy as a tool to complement efforts of the executive in the promotion of peace, security, economic integration, and development between Ghana and Nigeria on the African continent as a whole.
And that spokesperson for the Nigerian House of Representatives, that is the Benkalu, reading a communique after a meeting between the speakers of the National House of Representatives of Nigeria and Ghana's parliament, meeting over the past 2 days to address some of these trade issues between the two countries. And hopefully some agreement will be reached in trying to address all these problems. Emefa and Evans.
That's an issue we've been dealing with, and of course they are in a closed session right now, and they are asking that we amend part of a GIPC law. We are hoping to hear from our government on exactly what they are going to do.
Interesting
about
proposal.
Mm-hmm.
That's all,
George. Yes, thank you very much, George. On Newsnight.
Thank you very much. We have some messages that you sent in via WhatsApp. It's 0244340437. This one says, this is from Nana. I salute my paramount chief, Nana Alo, the Volta Regional House of Chiefs, for his eloquent and Solomonic submission on the Ijapa Royalty.
Solomonic?
Yes, on the Ijapa Royalty Buha. They
like
want
that.
to hear the other word that you have, but not here. So there's another one from Molanyo in Akwetia. It says, NDC has no case as far as the post-registration is concerned, and even dragging past issue to the present when we have the exhibition of voter register ahead of us, or doing so to prepare the minds of NDC followers to reject December election, is his question. And there's another one that says, Nigeria, what did they do when they shut their borders for 3 months?
Niyama says, I agree with Honorable Tofosi. Who would ever imagine that any jurisdiction will mean a tax haven? Jurisdiction, we have always interchanged I with country. A very tricky way to go about government business. That's Niyama Diana. Justice says, why should government amend parts of the agreement to favor Japa? Why is government bent on going ahead with this in spite of the resentment against it? Justice, thank you very much.
You're still listening to Newsnight here on Joy 99.7 FM. We'll head back into the election headquarters shortly, but let's go to Parliament for briefings on the Public Accounts Committee sitting today. And we had the University of Ghana. They were there today, and they're asking the Ghana Revenue Authority for a grace period of 3 years to be able to pay 4 million Ghana cedi taxes in tax rent allowance for staff that was not paid in 2015.
Now, the 2017 Auditor General's report observed tax on rent allowance was not deducted and paid in contravention of the tax laws. Appearing before Parliament's Public Accounts Committee today, university officials pleaded for more time to recover the amounts. Listen to Chairman of PAC, James Abaji, interrogate the university officials.
Because any income that you receive, either from your employment, your business, investment, is taxable. And they are receiving this by virtue of being in the employment of the university. You don't pay this allowance to anybody. You pay to people who work for you. So they are receiving those benefits by virtue of being employees of the university. And once that is a benefit to them, it's coming to them it comes and goes. It comes to them as income to them, and they spend it. by rent or fuel or whatever. But the fact that you are receiving that income as a way of being an employee of the university is an income to you and is taxable. So the auditors are right by insisting that it should be taxed. Agreed.
Thank you, gentlemen. So since you agree with the auditors and you have now started taxing these allowances, the amount that was outstanding was in excess of 4 million. So have you asked them to pay? Have they since refunded this money to the state?
We are in talk with GRA to resolve the issue. Indeed, we've made some payments to them on this. Then we are still resolving the outstanding issue.
This is since 2015. We are talking about 2015 audit, and we're in 2000. And you're still talking with the GRA?